What's going on, everyone? It's your boy JR alongside my boy Justin,
What's up?
and we're back again for the Geek Gods channel. But this time, we're going to talk about Final Fantasy XIV: Realm Reborn once again. However, we're going to touch on the live letter number 21 real quick because it actually offered us some info on the upcoming expansion, Heavensward. So, without further ado, let's get the ball rolling here real quick. Um, First things first here. The very first thing is about Ishgard. It goes, this is from the live letter digest here on the forums. We're just pretty much reading off that. And you're welcome to find it. We can link it for you on the YouTube video as well. But pretty much it goes, there are multiple levels to Ishgard. And when players first visit the city, they will enter through the Gates of Judgment, which are already available now for the most part. Some of you can visit that in Corythus right now, and walk into the Foundation in Ishgard where the scars of war are deeply visible. It's an area that hasn't really been repaired, apparently. This area is home to a great deal of the lower class citizens, but there's also a building that houses the knights that Americ belongs to, which is one of the knights, I guess, in the storyline coming up.
Amric.
Is that how you pronounce it? Americ?
Yeah.
Whoops.
This is the King's Landing of Final Fantasy, essentially.
Of course, of course. Uh, Past the market district, there's an area where the nobility live. This area has been well kept, obviously, because they're nobles. They take care of their shit, apparently. Additionally, there's a giant tower that has been placed in the center of the area. A great cathedral of Ishgard is located here as well. Adventurers arrive in Ishgard will first walk around the city, explore the Aetherite network, while grasping the current situation of the town. Additionally, the guilds for the 3 new jobs will all reside inside Ishgard. Therefore, you'll first have to come to Ishgard if you want to become one of these new jobs.
You're a
Hey,
machinist.
yeah, pretty much. Any thoughts on that? It's pretty
Not
straightforward.
really. I mean, look, just from watching the letter and reading that's the first thing that came to my mind was just the King's Landing of Final Fantasy.
For those of you not familiar with King's Landing, it's a Game of Thrones reference. But assuming that most of you that play this game are probably familiar with that because of the whole fantasy aspect. But anyways, moving on. The stream introduces gameplay of the Corythus Western Highlands area, which is pretty much available to us again. It used to be available to us back in version 1.0.
That's the that western area that had like level 90 mobs in it, if I remember correctly.
Yes, sir. Well, the level 90 mobs also had some decent fleece farming spots as well. I spent a lot of time there, that's for sure.
Yeah, so we
Um,
should remember that. If you played 1.0, you should remember that area too.
Hopefully they keep it somewhat. Well, the zone's going
I
to be
think that
expanded, but we'll see.
right. I'm sure like the dimensions will be the same, and I don't know if it's going to be snowfields there or not.
Well, the zones are going to be bigger from what I know, and apparently this area is covered by that glaciery area where the
So
Shiba.
this might be
It might be
okay.
snowy, it might not be. We'll see. Um,
I think Falcon's Nest is the camp there.
yes, it is. The Falcon's Nest is going to be probably the main camp there, where you handle all your business for questing and all that stuff.
Handle
This
it a business.
that Bidnit. The first dungeon you will visit is called Dusk Vigil. It's located in this area. And you'll actually be able to obtain your flying mount soon after starting the main scenario, so that's pretty cool. I'm actually wondering if it's going to cost an exorbitant amount of money or gil to.
I'm calling 200k, 250
That
k.
seems reasonable. I can deal with that. Um, we'll see. But in order to fly, though, you'll first have to travel around the area and locate etheric currents, similar to the flight paths in World of Warcraft.
Right. I mean, this wouldn't be Final Fantasy if you didn't have to do a quest to unlock something.
Of course, it's prereqs for everything. Prereqs for all. Um, there are currency you'll come across while doing the main scenario, but there are also those that you'll have to discover on your own. So have fun with that.
Not looking forward to that at all.
No, not really, but it is what it is at this point. It's something to do. With that said, it'd be best to hunt down these currents as you go through the main scenario when you visit the new areas. Afterwards, you'll be able to head to locations that can only be visited by flying mounts, which is pretty cool, and be able to challenge various side quests and such.
My thing with
Uh,
this is do you think you'll only be able to fly with like these currents? Do you think you'll only be able to fly in certain areas of the zone, or The way it comes off to me is we're not going to be able to have
The
free
free roam
reign of
fly.
fly, right? Where you're not going to be able to fly, anywhere you want, anytime you like. There's going to be set areas where you can fly, and in others you're not going to be able to. I mean, that's the way that all comes across to me.
Well, given that I've read that they're adding more open world content to this expansion, like harder mobs and such like that, I'm gonna assume that they're gonna want you to encounter those mobs. So I think it's gonna be strictly flight path, but we're gonna have to see if it'll be, free roaming. I hope it is,
Right, I'm
but I
kind of
feel
wondering
that
if it isn't going to be like these,
flying,
like Light Pet.
yeah, flying sometimes can take the adventure and danger out of certain zones. Which I mean, I don't mind if you're high level already, you've already been through there, you can fly over it. But as a newbie, the whole danger, and that was the whole thing about 11 that I loved was that there's a high level area, you got to use snake pots, you got to use invis pots, so on and so
Yeah,
forth. So that kind of made it,
a
it
strategy
added
to
it
getting
added
through an
yeah
area.
it added a sort of flair to the game, I guess. This whole danger lurks at every corner thing, and I hope they bring that back. I didn't actually mind that in 11.
Yeah, I mean, that was fun. It's going to be funny, like you said. The zones are going to be 1.5 to 2 times larger than what we already have. If you look at a zone like Karthus, and that's a huge zone, and that's going
Yeah,
to be
that zone was
again
enormous in
double that. I
1.0.
mean, I think I just from reading the letter and seeing all that, I think they said it's going to be funny to find those like open areas where there really kind of isn't anything going on because they said they wanted to leave room to add stuff in those in areas for future patches, whereas they couldn't do that in a Realm Reborn because everything in every area pretty much had something going on. So it's going to be funny to like if you're going to be able to run around and be like, oh, okay, there's really nothing going on here, but I bet you in a future patch there will be.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And based on like what the community has said in terms of feedback, quoting here, many new dangerous-looking monsters can be seen in Heavensward areas. We have seen many comments where players felt Realm Reborn areas were too peaceful, as the monster placement in the areas were a bit too easy. However, the monsters in Heavensward are very strong. If you encounter two or more monsters at the same time, you'll either need to fight doing your best or be prepared to run, which is kind of cool. It's similar to 11 there. I kind of dig that a little bit. Like I said, I like that
I like
danger.
right, and I like the you can pull 8 9 mods in this game and be all right. If
Yeah,
you're strategic through it. I like that in 11, and it seems like that's what they're trying to kind of get back to, where you pulled more than 2 things. You were scrambling to crowd control 2 mobs. Keeping a second one slept while you took down the first one and whatnot.
yeah, not enough CC in this game, I feel, but that'd be nice to see. I kind of like CC. It adds strategy to battles and stuff like that. Also, to be noted with the whole enemy strength thing, if you plan on stepping in an area such as a beastman camp and other dangerous areas, you'll probably want to talk with nearby players to get through them because these mobs apparently are going to be able to kick your ass finally.
All right, there's no Rick Rolling and an Adeline for your crafting quest.
Yeah, pretty much. Um, The Pillars area, which is the next area here, is known as the Last Vigil. Players visit various citadels, such as this, for example, Stone Vigil and Dusk Vigil, but then, as the name implies, it is a final citadel. So, in addition to, excuse me if I'm mispronouncing this, Harshafont's House Fortums, excuse me, there's also the Holy See, which apparently is like the whole holy thingamajigger there in Ishgard. uh, During the Nico Nico Chokage 2015, which I'm assuming is a festival here. The 12 founding knights are also located there as well. The pillars will be the earliest bastion you come across while progressing through the main scenario. And in Heavensward, they've enhanced the contrast of shadows, so you'll be able to receive quite a different impression than what you've experienced up until now. It will also be possible to adjust your character's lighting as you please. That's a little tidbit there, because I'm assuming this area is going to be dark-ish for the most part. So, but anyways, enough about the zones. They move on right afterwards to the new abilities and stuff like that. And we're just gonna briefly gloss over these real quick because there's a lot here for the most part. But essentially, the bigger changes and stuff like that. Obviously, with Heaven's Wars, the cap is rated to 60. So they're showing essentially a sampling here, a small sampling of the ways each jobs are going to be changing and stuff like that. So the first one is Black Mage. The new abilities are ley lines. Well, these are, I'm assuming, just a couple of them, but the ones to note are ley lines, sharp cast, and Ino Chien. I'm probably murdering that pronunciation, but whatever. Ley lines is a stationary buff that you can place in the ground. When the caster stands on the side of it, you'll gain a 50% haste bonus. Sharp Cast. After using this ability, the next spell you cast will grant you a guaranteed proc. Probably going to be useful for stuff like fire and thunder and stuff like that. Ino-Chien. I really hope I'm pronouncing that correctly.
You're not.
Probably
I
not.
don't think you are.
Essentially, when you use this ability, you'll gain a 30-second buff, and while under the effect of this buff, you'll be able to cast Fire 4 and Blizzard 4. And in order to use Fire 4 and Blizzard 4, you'll need to have Astral Fire and Umbral Ice, respectively, in addition to the buff granted by Ino-Chien. Whatever.
So it's going to change the way that's played. Once you hit 60, it really seems like the
Yeah.
only way to cast those big spells is to have that ability that I'm not even going to try to pronounce active.
I think
looks
it's similar
like
to the Aether
like
Flow that some
something
are
like
having
that,
there.
but it kind of reminds me also of like how Monk currently needs to stay in like Grease Lightning 3. You're constantly fighting to keep that up. It seems like as a Black Mage, you're going to be fighting to keep that ability up so that you can cast your more devastating spells. It doesn't, which I kind of like. It's not. Black Mage is going to switch. I don't like the whole. All you do now is spam fire and wait for that fire 3
pretty
proc.
much. Well, essentially, according to them, when you learn that ability, Ino-Chien or whatever, the way you play the job is essentially going to be changed. Largely or whatever is going to be based on that ability, and depending on the content, the optimal skill rotation will vary. So try out various things depending on what you're fighting and so on and so forth.
It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
Playing it.
I ain't playing Black Mage, so I'm not too worried about it, but eventually I'll probably try it out.
Unless we get another Garuda fight where we need like 8 Black Mages to go in. And by that I mean 1.0 Garuda.
Oh yeah, 1.0 Garuda, yeah. That was actually fun though. I missed that Thunder combo. Whatever. Moving on is to Paladin. Until now, this is on the little digest here. Until now, Paladin has mainly used Rage of Halone combo. However, we will introduce new combos which derive from the Savage Blade and Riot Blade. So when main tanking, you'll first use Rage of Halone to gain enmity, and you use the combos which include the DOT, which is a damage over time for those of you not savvy with the jargon. Once you can maintain enmity, it'll be better to utilize a different combo. When playing as an off tank, you'll use a new combo route more, and so how you fought until now will greatly change pretty much. New abilities to note for the most part are Divine Veil, which I feel like was in the game before, but they might have removed it for 2.0. I don't remember anymore. It might have been a 1.0. It sounds like a 1.0 ability. But it sets a protective barrier around the target where if the target receives cures while on the effect, other nearby members will also receive a barrier effect similar to the Holy Beacon, or Beacon of Light ability in WoW for Paladins, which is pretty sweet. Helps, makes healing nice, actually, for the melee. They didn't name the other ability here, but it's apparently
it's nice.
It's a skill that's gonna, it's a skill essentially that's gonna help you block enemy attacks and stuff like that. Anyways, so
it's invincible. It's the Paladin 2-hour.
The ultimate 2-hour. Anyways, moving on. We got Warrior here.
It.
Not playing it either. Yes.
Hashtag not playing it.
Hashtag not playing it. We got Warrior here for those warriors out there. The first new ability here that they state is Deliverance. An attacking stance pretty much used to increase your DPS when you're acting as an off tank, which is nice because hate in this game is based a lot on damage too for the most part if you're not provoking and stuff. So similar
but provoke
to Wrath,
gives you insta hate though. I mean, it's tanking and off tanking. This kind of seems like they're trying to make Warrior a viable DPS if it has to be.
Yeah, which is fine, whatever. But similar to the Wrath you gain while using Defiance, you will gain up to maximum 5 stacks of Abaddon when using Deliverance. And when switching between these two stances, stacks you have generated will be maintained. Something to make that easier and stuff like that, because probably have to do a little DPS stance every now and then. Then they have Raw Intuition, which is going to guarantee a parry, which probably become really useful for that one attack that's really to one-shot you or something like that, or do a bunch of damage. I'm assuming probably not going to work on bosses, but come in handy when you're
parried.
Yeah, it could come in handy when you're using other stuff or whatever. And moving on to the other tank, the new tank, the Dark Knight, not Batman. Here's some of the abilities, and pretty much it. Obviously, they're going to have more abilities, but these are the note ones. And essentially, based on what I've also read on Dark Knight, it's essentially going to be crazy AoE damage in terms of maintaining AoE hate and stuff like that.
I like AoE tank.
AoE, yeah, essentially thinking like protection or Fury Warrior a little bit, using I think it's Thunderclap, that circular thing there where you
Well, yeah,
add.
even Blood Decay. I mean, that was just you
Yeah,
spam Blood Boil and Death and Decay, and wow, I mean that's just
yeah, pretty much. But essentially the moves are Dark Side, which is similar to the Paladin Sword Oath. This stance is more of an attack-based stance. You take an aura-like effect, which I think we mentioned on the previous video
I think
about
so.
these
Yeah.
abilities. Yeah. You take an aura-like effect known as Dark Side. While this is an effect, your MP will deplete gradually.
This is essentially Sith mode.
Yeah, pretty much. And while in this stance, you will not be able to receive MP healing support from party members. There are weapon skills that restores MP, but so it'll be very important to make sure you make a use of the skills to manage your MP because DK is going to be essentially an MP tank or whatever. So you're going to have to manage that as well. You can't just go in there and spam everything all day, every day.
I
Um,
might play it
I may too. It's intriguing for sure, but it may be one of the last classes I try out for sure.
for sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
the other two are definitely more intriguing.
yeah. So we
But
got here.
neither of us, I don't think, have ever career tanked in any game. So
Never, ever. I suck at it. I can heal and DPS, but that's pretty much it. Um, Next ability here for the DK is Grit. This stance will be used when in the tank role, obviously.
Jedi
With
mode.
the with this stance, it will be easier to gain enmity. This will become important when you switch between modes when fighting and determining when you need to gain enmity and deal damage. So, yeah.
I like these
Uh,
attacking and defending stances. It's making the off tank actually, they're going to be able to dish out damage while they're, not tanking at the moment, which is nice. Having that extra DPS will probably help in a lot of the fights.
Yeah, essentially, like with the little tank job recap they did here, various changes have been made to the existing paladin warrior actions through level 50 and up. But these adjustments are made with how they will fight at level 60 in mind. Additionally, accuracy has increased while under the effect of Shield Oath and Defiance. So part of these jobs will need more accuracy compared to the other jobs used on, which makes sense a little bit because um, to maintain enmity, you got to hit these mobs too. So it'd be nice with
Yeah,
a
I
you
mean,
know
if you ain't twirling in his face, come on.
you be deepin. So
I didn't think
yeah,
that through well enough.
no, you didn't. So. Um, all right, next we have here. These are very short snippets here, but they move on to Dragoon. Only really one new ability here to note. Obviously, there are going to be more, but these are some of the standout ones or whatever that were demonstrated in the video. Um, this ability for Dragoon is called Blood of the Dragon. And this is the main feature of the adjustments for the Dragoon. When using Blood of the Dragon, you'll be able to use a fancy action after full thrust and chaos thrust, making a 4-stage combo.
Sweet.
Additionally, this is also a strong action that will consume Blood of the Dragon. With these adjustments, Dragoon's role as DPS will really shine through. Furthermore, we're also making adjustments to the animation locks for jumps, which is nice
Sweet. Because
if
I
you're a
always
DK.
jump at the worst time and get
Yeah,
stuck in some doo doo on the ground.
always. Yeah, that's I'm glad they're doing that because that has screwed over a lot of people with that. So it's
I
good to
like
see.
how
And
they. Go ahead.
you plan on playing Derp as well, right? So
Oh,
Derp
that's
Goon.
Dragoon's my main. Yeah, that's. I like how they even say it's gonna shine. This is the Ottergon expansion we Dragoons have been waiting for.
Well, this is your X pack, that's for sure. So I mean, hell, the main
We
guy
even we even get
is a
that
Derp.
KFC Final Fantasy VI relic armor looking deal.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So enjoy that.
Indeed.
So moving on, we have the Bard,
The bad.
the Bard. You know, a couple of the new abilities that were shown off in the video is the first one is the Wanderer's Minuet. So basically, according to a little snippet here, this is a song that is very unique as it can be used while the effects of the other songs are up, which is pretty cool. And it's also an action that kind of changes your stance. I didn't know Bard had stances. That's new to me, unless that's added. And I missed that. I apologize. But while under the effect of Wanderer's Minuet, you'll be able to deal high amounts of damage while charging up your bow. That's sweet. I like that. However, casting times will be added to your actions, which is no bueno. And you won't be able to use auto attacks on the effect of Wanderer's Minuet, meaning that you won't be able to attack while you move anymore.
I ain't playing
Um,
it.
yeah. So, I mean, it makes sense a little bit. These guys are running and gunning way too much. Different from other songs, the Wanderer's Minuet will not consume MP, which is good. And then we have a comeback ability here that was in 11, Sidewinder, one of my favorites
It's bad.
from 11. Yeah, this is a very special physical attack that will increase the effect of your DOTs already applied to enemies. Whoa, not the same effect as 11, but pretty cool nonetheless because I love that name, Sidewinder. Moving
Slingshot.
on. Moving on, Ninja. Ninja had some pretty big changes here for the most part. Ninja, Summoner, Monk, if I'm not mistaken. Let's get to Ninja here real quick. Well, not drastic changes, but essentially they're going to have more positioning. As an ninja, you have to worry a little bit more about positioning your abilities. Before, you didn't really have to worry about that, aside from like sneak, trick, attack, or whatever. They're going to be adding a couple more of the positioning to several weapon skills because they don't have many right now. And also to note, to my dismay, which pretty much cements the fact that Thief will never be added to this game. They are adding an
We knew that,
ability.
though. Come on, we knew that wasn't
Yeah, it
coming.
sucks though, man. I love Thief in 11. It was so fun. Essentially, a move that's gonna, you know, hate management. Essentially, the ninja's gonna be able to, deal a lot of damage, early burst damage, typical rogue stuff. So the skills in place pretty much to support the tank in a situation where the enemy becomes unstable. So essentially, your sneak, trick attack at the start of a fight or whatever, or during a fight to keep the hate on the main tank, which is cool. But at the same time, I wish it was Thief. I don't know. That's some of the bigger changes to Ninja there. So I may give it a whirl eventually to see how it plays out. I may end up liking it, but
Never
uh,
know. But you
well,
know
you never
what?
know.
I ain't playing it.
All right, then we have the Monk. Monk, according here to this little snippet, the original concept for Monk was to maintain Grease Lightning 3, as you stated earlier, Justin. But instead of adding actions to aid in the maintaining of this effect, we added technical elements where you can utilize Grease Lightning and also made adjustments to eliminate the downtime during phases or mechanics of bosses where you can't do anything. They're also going to be adding a system known as Chakra. We're able to gain 5 stacks of Chakra, just like Chi for monks in World of Warcraft. Familiar with that? The Chi is essentially a power bar, whatever. Depending on how much Chi you have, you can either do more damage or some abilities require a certain amount of Chi to, to cast an ability or to, use the ability. I'm assuming this is going to work the same way. To further the reading here, once you reach the maximum amount, you'll be able to execute a high damage weapon skill. So pretty much that, essentially. Additionally, you'll be able to use Chakra to restore TP to yourself, which is pretty sweet. If that's a cross-class ability, that could be pretty useful, but I
Yes,
doubt it.
Grease.
Furthermore, there'll be an ability that will allow you to change your form and weapon skill that consumes Grease Lightning. So, uh, look forward to that pretty much.
It's
And
semi-interesting.
it's interesting. I dig that. I can respect that a little bit. Being
I don't like all the. I don't like the. It's Monk is a pain in the ass right now. I don't like all the positioning and
yeah, I'd
nothing
play Monk
props
if it
with
wasn't.
anything. It's all about positioning and going from one form to the next to the next. It's wacky and weird, and I don't know if they're trying to dumb it down, but they're making it seem like they're making it even more involved. But I guess we'll see.
Yeah, man. I liked Monk. I just can't seem to.
You're
All the
constantly moving.
positioning.
It's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
I can't do it. It's not for me.
One combo where you got a position is fine, but I mean you're moving on every weapon skill on Monk. It's just absurd.
Literally dancing with the mob, essentially. So I can't handle it. More power to you guys that do it. I can't do it, and I salute you guys that are able to do it. Can't do it. Let's move
Maybe if
on
this was
here.
10 years ago, that'd be a different story. But I mean, come on, we're getting old here.
Yeah, pretty much. My hands aren't what they used to be. Now, even with the Naga, that's to me at least.
That's a little
I
rough.
can't do it. Yeah, no, I think Monk requires some actual skill. But like I said, hats off to those of you that can do it. Moving on here, we have the Machinist. And the Machinist, like we mentioned earlier in our first video, it's similar playstyle to the Bard. Um, However, the playstyle and awareness of the job will greatly differ. Their major specialty is to use a buff called Ammunition, and by using stacks of these, it'll add various additional effects to weapon skills. So
We're not buying ammo essentially.
you're not. I don't know if you're buying ammo, but you're gonna have to use abilities to refill your.
Right. That's how they're doing it. That's how they're
Yeah.
swinging,
So
not having to buy ammo and not having that extra slot on the UI.
Yeah, the ability here is called reload, and to expand on that, it's by using this, you can reload 5 stacks of ammunition. Not only will you reload when you use up all the stacks of ammunition, but you can reload when not out of any ammunition to increase the damage efficiency. Additionally, there is an action called Quick Reload, which will instantly load one ammunition for use in dire situations, like when you need that
It's your
last,
oh shit, your oh shit
yeah, pretty
button.
probably oh shit button. Um, and the weapon skills work a little bit differently, apparently. The weapon skill combinations where you use one shot, two shots, or three. But using shot one gives a 50% chance to boost shot two, and the other a 50% chance to boost shot three, and so on and so forth. Um, by
Do you think
using
that's
ammunition,
that's the name of their weapon? That obviously that's not the name of the weapon skill. Shot one, shot two, shot three. But do you think you're going to be? Do you think that's what they're using in place of the names they're not giving us, or do you think there's going to be abilities where you're using multiple bullets for shots?
I don't know, man. I mean, I've seen a couple of
It's
videos and stuff like that, but I'm still like not 100% certain or whatever.
It'd be
Um,
cool if it was like that, but that kind of makes me think like, okay, you're going to be constantly reloading, which means you're going to it makes me think of the the gun arcade games where you're constantly shooting off screen to reload.
yeah, I see what you're saying. I mean, to me, it reminds you a little bit of if you played the Old Republic, the Imperial Agent or the Smuggler. They had the sniper, where you're pretty much
Right.
like
Yeah.
you're in one spot for the most part, and you're constantly trying to gain tactical advantage or whatever. The more tactical advantage you have, uh, the more abilities you can use, the more damage you'll do. I think I see it working some way like that or whatever as an increase in damage. Like I don't know. That's like I said, it's all pure speculation at this moment because they're not giving us everything. At least they're giving us something. But yeah, I don't
It's
know. It'd be
still not
interesting to see.
much. I mean, they're telling us we're going to be reloading.
Yeah, I don't know. But you're also gonna get turrets and stuff too, which they didn't really go into a bunch. But except for that turrets, which will affect party members in range and stuff like that. Maybe a damage buff of sorts, or I don't know if they're gonna be like support buffs or whatever like that. So we'll have to see how that works out. Moving, I don't know if you want to play that too, right? I mean, I'm intrigued by it. I'm definitely gonna
That's
check it
going to
out.
be the first one I go after. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems a little complicated right now, but it's one of those things where when you dive in there and actually try it out, it's probably not as bad
Right.
as it seems.
Plus, you're going to be starting at level 30, so how bad can it be?
Yeah, well, at least yeah, you don't have to deal with all that crap. So, Summoner is one of the next one, and it's one of the ones that is getting a big change as well. A lot of people seem to be excited about this, but some people aren't. I don't know. I don't play Summoner, but let's go over it
I
anyways.
ain't playing it.
To quote here, we'll be making various adjustments to Summoner, which includes an action that simultaneously applies Bio 2, and Miasma effects in exchange for Aether Flow, which is that ability that you use to stack to actually use some of the higher base damage based abilities or whatever. Well, duh, it's a DPS class. The ability Tri Disaster has been renamed to Tri Bind since the effect didn't make sense in the original name. In exchange, the aforementioned ability action that applies all 3 dots will be known as Tri Disaster. So a little switcheroo there
And the
for
try
you
disaster
summoners.
is miasma, bio 2.
Yeah. During development, they continue here. We thought long and hard about this, but we will not be adding a new Egi, whatever, at this time, which is probably a bummer to some of you summoners out there because you guys already got the shaft with those little
Yeah, you guys are already fucked.
mini little companions you got there. But looking at long term, they say here, instead of adding more pets, we felt it better to give more use of the job by adding actions to the summoner. However, I'm sure many are wondering if they will have to continue looking at the same Eggy forever, but we are planning to add a system in the future will allow you to change the appearance of your Eggy, including Carbuncle, but their stats will remain the same. A little bit disappointment, actually. Summoner doesn't feel like a summoner. I don't know. To
No,
me,
it doesn't. It's weak.
XI summoner
That's
invokes,
what I want.
those.
Then I'd be
That'd
interested.
be nice. I mean, at least aesthetic wise, like fuck.
I don't even like the way it plays. I don't like dropping all the. It's whack.
I don't
I ain't
mind the
playing it.
dots. It's just that like there's that one that requires you to be in melee range and all that. I'm just not a fan of it. I suppose. I don't know.
It doesn't remind me of Summoner as we
It
know it
doesn't
at all. The
scream
play
summoner at
style,
all.
right?
It's summoner name only. That's pretty much it. Because
It's a dot black mage with a pet.
yeah. Anyways, I don't know. Moving on here. Let's go on to a job that I play. White mage. Hell yeah. Let's see here. pretty much White Mage. They're just gonna buff the shit out of us in terms of heals. So hell fucking yeah. White Mage designs a pure healer job, as some of you all know. However, if you're a really good White Mage, you help DPS in dungeons. Just saying. That separates the cream of the crop, if you ask me.
Gotta grab that brass ring.
Hey, I'm grabbing that brass ring, baby. All day. I'm not a jobber. Uh, so here are a couple of things. There are abilities such as Asylum, which creates a healing field, and a skill that can be used to attack and heal at the same time called Assize. So,
Which is Discipline Priest.
yeah, Asylum to be, yeah, this one please, or the Druid healing circle or whatever.
Yeah. The
Additionally,
mushroom cloud.
yeah, additionally, Benediction was the only instant healing ability we get, but we're getting another one. So I'm pretty psyched about that. It's a lower healing potency, but still really fucking useful.
The mage is gonna be OP.
Dude, I can't wait to try. I mean, it's making me like not even want to level Astrologian. Whatever, doesn't matter. Furthermore, they're going to introduce Stone 3 and Arrow 3 to help us out with a little bit of deeps there. And aside from additional components, White Mage was the only job that could increase magic defense by Protect. However, with the addition of a third healer job, we made it so other jobs can also use a fully buffed effect to Protect as part of the balance adjustment, which is fine by me. Doesn't really bother me. I wish they'd bring back Shell though, but I guess there's no really magic defense in this anymore, so whatevs. Moving on, we have Scholar. Now, I don't really play Scholar too much, but people seem to love it. I mean, I like a balance of both jobs. I feel like both healing jobs currently bring a lot to the table. But the changes here with Scholar, instead of just simply increasing the Scholar's abilities, we made adjustments by adding actions that require you to really think about their use and the best time to utilize them. So a new action here is Indomitability. A new AoE healing action will supplement the Scholar's current AoE healing strength, which is already kind of OP in my opinion. But for some reason, they feel like it's been a week up until now. I kind of disagree, though. I don't know. The next ability is Deployment Tactics. Excuse me. This action will extend the effect of Adloquium and Eye for an Eye, that is on the target player and the other party members in range. Another one is Emergency Tactics. Instead of adding a barrier effect to Adloquium, this action will give additional healing power for the amount of the effect of the barrier and dissipation. With this action, you'll dismiss your fairy in exchange for magic power, which reminds me a little bit of like sacrificing your demon in WoW when you're a warlock, if I'm not mistaken. You're probably not playing that though. Hashtag not playing it, correct, sir?
Hashtag not playing it. Sorry, the dog was shaking. I had to cover her up.
It's all good. Got a little puppy there, so bear with us with that. Finally, our last subject here for this live letter is the Astrologian. Like we mentioned in the previous video, I'm intrigued too, but it seems a little bit like Corsairish a little bit with the whole cards and stuff like that.
I like that. Corsair was the once Corsair came out, that was my main, so I'm intrigued.
So, like we said, there are two stances. We gave the Japanese names in the last video, but apparently they're going to be called Diurnal and Nocturnal Sect, which you can switch between. However, not in combat. You can only do it before combat.
So you're going to have to pick your poison, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. But I guess it's situational, depending on what you got.
Right, like we said in the last video, I think it's going to depend on whether you're healing with a White Mage or you're healing with a Scholar.
Yeah, essentially, one of them is a healing stance, much like White Mage. The other one uses barriers, much like Scholar. Pretty simple. And depending on which stance you're in, the effects of your ability and spells largely vary. First would be best to get used to the stance and try to master the next. So, which makes sense. You want to make sure you're playing your job correctly. So, additionally, you'll be able to use actions such as the barrier created by Ishtola. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. I pronounce everything correctly here, folks. Bear with me. And you can draw cards, which will give you various types of buffs.
I like it.
I dig it. Depending on the card that you randomly draw, you can gain effects such as enhanced attack power, very Corsair-like haste, damage reduction, which sounds fucking awesome if you ask me. I'm definitely gonna. I don't know. I love White Mage so much, but I'm definitely gonna look into this too, if you ask me.
For sure. Maybe I'll switch mains and be your healing buddy.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Furthermore, you can use the ability Royal Road to return the card to your draw deck and enhance the next one you draw, which is pretty cool too.
Ooh,
So I guess it's gonna be one of
alright.
those things where you have to really experiment, figure out, when it's best to
Right.
use certain abilities and stuff like that. So there might be a slight learning curve to this, it seems. Um,
Reshuffle that deck.
yeah, well, there's the ability Shuffle to redraw a card. Um, so yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. It's definitely one of the more intriguing jobs, if you ask me. At least
I
on
think they
paper,
gave
it seems so.
of the three new jobs, this is the one I think they gave us the most information about, most helpful information about as to
Yeah,
how this is going to
absolutely.
play.
Yeah,
Like I
and I'm
think
sure
we've
the
got a decent idea just from these couple, sentences that they've given us, as opposed to like the Dark Knight and the Machinist.
yeah, and I don't know if there's gonna be one more live letter before the next X pack, before the X pack, but um, you know, if there is, we'll try to keep you guys informed and stuff like that. But that's pretty much it, really, guys. As stuff comes in, we're gonna try to help you out here and give you as much info as we can. Forgive my mispronunciations of some of the stuff here, but
We are
make
less than
suggestions.
4 weeks away, I believe. Early access is
Yeah,
the
we
20th,
we're almost there,
Saturday.
man.
That's
I
Saturday,
can
right? I
see the
think.
light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, it's
I
gonna
think
be
it's on the
good.
23rd.
It
I'll have to
launches the
check the date.
launches the 23rd, but when early access, I guess, starts the 20th. That's
Okay,
Saturday.
yeah, I'll have to double check that. You
So
guys can
we
correct us in
are.
the video there.
I guess we'll be what will be a little less than 4 weeks. Yep.
Yeah. Oh well. Anyways, as always, guys, if you like the videos, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, all that stuff. Spread the word too. Shit, we really appreciate it. Offer any suggestions or feedback and stuff like that. And trolling too. We welcome it all. So, uh, anyways, for the Geek Gods, I've been JR,
I'm Justin.
and we'll catch you guys on the next episode. GG, motherfuckers.